What is up, everybody? Welcome to the first episode thing, pre stream, whatever, for Voidcast. So, Voidcast is just going to be like a little Friday segment that I'm going to start doing on the stream where I just kind of go over some gaming news topics, tech topics, pretty much like the logo says, games, tech, and everything geeky. Um, and I'll be probably clipping it and putting it on YouTube after the stream is over. I'll do this before the stream, then I'll end the stream, take a 10-minute break maybe, um, and then start streaming normally. I'm not really sure. I may not even end the stream. I may just let it keep running, take a 10-minute break, and then come back. Um, but I have a couple of topics lined up that I wanted to talk about tonight, and the first one is this on PC Gamer. I saw it and I thought it was pretty cool. Being able to upgrade an iPod Classic with either an M.2 or a like an SSD. You can do micro SDs, anything like that. A YouTuber by the name of DankPods. I've watched a couple of his videos before, but I've never really like paid much attention to him. But I thought the idea of taking an iPod Classic, like I think it's the fifth, sixth, and seventh generations. You can buy these boards by a company called iFlash, and it's called the iFlash SATA V10. And basically, what it does is you pop out the excuse me, you pop out the old hard drive in your iPod Classic, and you plug this board into where the old hard drive goes, and you can put M.2. They make one for micro SD. They make one for the stupid card converters. That's like you plug it into a micro, and then you can plug it into like a camera. They make one for that. They make a lot of different variations. It runs you the SATA V10. It'll run you about $40, looking like, and right now it only supports King Shark M.2, Transcend MTS 4030S, the 256, and the MTS 4030S 512 as of right now. It was updated April 20th, but I think it's a good way to get some more mileage out of your old. If you got an old iPod Classic lying around, it's a good way to get some more mileage out of it. The video is about 30 minutes ish, 20 something, 30 something, and it's pretty neat. I like the idea of being able to take an old iPod Classic and bump it up with a faster SSD. Some problems that he said he run into was that the battery life on those, once you put that SSD in, is going to drop like a lot. He said that he burned up a battery doing benchmarks with it, and I don't know if that was an old faulty battery, the original battery. I don't really know, but he said he did have to replace the battery because those things will suck the batteries dry. So, if you got one laying around and you just kind of want a project to derp with, it could be a pretty neat little project. I thought it was cool. He actually took an old it was a laptop SSD, and he just snapped it into the board, plugged the board into where the old drive went, and he formatted it with the iPod software, whatever that's on iPods. He formatted it and put it on there, and he had a big ass iPod Classic with a boatload of space. So yeah, definitely a cool little project. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about. Um, the second thing I wanted to talk about was Shadow Warrior is apparently getting a third game, which is super cool. There's a teaser trailer they posted on their Twitter that they were going to be, making a third one, and they posted the teaser for it. And I'm kind of excited, but I mean, I played the first one. I didn't play the second one. I like the first one a lot. It's campy, it's funny, action packed. It's pretty difficult, but they're making a third one, and if it's been, let's see, 4 years since Shadow Warrior 2 came out, and people called it a thrilling looter shooter with bad jokes. And they posted it. Let's see, this article was posted yesterday. Another PC Gamer article posted yesterday, and basically so they're thinking that they're hosting their a direct live stream next Saturday. So I'm thinking that they're gonna do a teaser trailer before the 11th, and then a more substantial showcase during their live stream, because a lot of people are pretty hyped up about this. You can also get the most of the games in the series are 75% off on the summer Steam sale. Summer Steam sale. So if you're looking to pick up the Shadow Warrior games, I definitely recommend that you check them out. They're really funny and they're really fun. Um, Moving on to the next topic. I literally picked this topic out to troll Adam, but since Adam never showed up because he hates me, um, I'm just gonna do it anyway because I think it's funny. Um, so apparently Kellogg's is making a Creeper Crunch Minecraft cereal. Um, I really just why why like I don't understand the appeal of like I mean I like Minecraft, but to to make a cereal out of it and to spend all that money to make a cereal, um, it's I don't get it. Like it, I literally picked this out to troll Adam because I was gonna be like, hey, they're making a Roblox cereal because I like to go in his stream when he's streaming Minecraft and bust his balls and say that it's Roblox. So that one was really just a troll topic. Um, the next topic, this is the one that I really wanted to. This is one of the two topics that I had picked out that I was really wanting to discuss. This one's a little bit on the darker side, and not surprising given the world that we live in, but surprising just because it. I just found out about it today. Um, and the article was posted yesterday, but Evo um, is canceled this year, and it's not because of COVID-19 or because of coronavirus. It's actually the um, the co-founder and president, Mr. Wizard Joey Cuellar. Um, he's been accused of sexual misconduct. So Evo has literally said that he is no longer going to be in charge of Evo. He's no longer going to have anything to do with Evo. They said get out, go, and companies like Capcom, NetherRealm, Bandai Namco, and a bunch of Sonic Fox have said that they will never ever have anything to do with Evo again. And some of the tweets and some of the messages were a little vague. Some said flat out, no, never again will we deal with Evo. Some of them were a little bit not as cut and dry. They said for now, so maybe they go back next year if there is an Evo next year, because I really don't know how this is going to unfold and what's going to happen. But it basically, um, they were made. This was posted yesterday, but it said that let's see. The allegations about Coelho were made this morning in a post shared by a longtime fighting game player, Mikey um, Crackprawn Pham, who made both general and specific claims, including one that took place when he was a minor. And he is the only source of the allegation so far, although 2011 Evo champ Viscount said in a now deleted tweet that Pham had related the same story to him at some point in the past. So Sonic Fox went on Twitter and he said he will not be participating any longer in Evo Online. Um, I don't know if that's, does that mean now? Does that mean like period? Because Evo is one of the biggest fighting game tournaments of the year. So a lot of people who play these fighting games that train and play all year to go to Evo, this is like the big boy tournament. Um, they could rebrand Evo. It could not be called Evo anymore. Still have the same people running it, same sponsors, but it couldn't. They could try to disassociate from the Evo brand and rebrand it and call it something else, or they could just completely shut down Evo and never do it again. There's really, I don't really see them just shutting it down completely. I think that more than likely a rebrand is coming, or they could just call it Evo and be like, hey, we don't condone what he did. He's out. We're going to run it now, and this is how it's going to go. But Capcom went online and it's like, in light of recent accusations of misconduct made against Evo organizer, blah, 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 we will no longer be participating in Evo 2020. So, again, Capcom not specifically saying that they are done with Evo forever, but they are done with Evo 2020. MK11, NetherRealm, they went online and they said that we stand in solidarity with those who have spoken out, and we're going to be pulling MK11 from Evo Online. Bandai Namco has also decided to pull out. So, um, they are a lot of these companies are pulling out of Evo. Um, so they basically posted this. Evo posted a tweet that's like, over the past 24 hours, in response to serious allegations recently made public on Twitter, we have made the first of a series of important decisions regarding the future of our company. Effective immediately, Joey Cuellar will no longer be involved with Evo in any capacity. Period. Done. He will no longer have anything to do with Evo. We're currently working towards his complete separation from the company and have relieved him of all of his responsibilities. Going forward, Tony Cannon will act as CEO in this position. He will take leadership role in prioritizing greater accountability across Evo, both internally and at our events. Progress doesn't happen overnight or without the bravery of those who speak up against misconduct and injustice. We're shocked and saddened by these events, but we are listening and committed to making every change that will be necessary in making Evo a better model for the stronger, safer culture we all seek. As a result, we'll be canceling Evo Online and will work to issue refunds for all players who chose to purchase a badge. We will donate the equivalent of the proceeds as promised to Project Hope, which I think is super super amazing that they're going to donate that money to Project Hope. Um, he also the Joey Cuellar also posted his tweet. Um, he issued an apology that he said, "I'm sorry, I never meant to hurt anyone. I was young and reckless and did things I'm not proud of." He wrote, "I've been growing and maturing over the past 20 years, but that does not excuse anything. All I have been trying to do is become a better person. Once again, I am truly sorry." Um, that's all he really had to say. And like I said, I don't really know what's going to come out of this. I know Evo is canceled. They will not be doing Evo 2020 this year. There's no. I don't think there. I think what they should do is they should not call it Evo anymore. They should rebrand it and try to pull away from that brand and disassociate from him completely and make this a new experience and a new thing. And just, I don't honestly know. Um, that was, I don't really know what to say about it, honestly. Um, I'm pretty sure that there will be an investigation of some sort, and he will probably more than likely do some jail time if the accusations turn out to be 100% true. I'm going to keep an eye on it because I'm also curious because I would like to know because I enjoy watching Evo and watching the game, watching it after. I've never really actually gotten to go to Evo, um, but I enjoy watching Evo when it's done. But I really think that a disassociation from the brand could be a good thing um, for everybody. Um, but that's all. That's all on that. That was probably the darkest topic that I had to talk about. Now, for those of you watching the stream that have been here before, know that I am a member of an esports team called Aquatic Esports, and I'm on a team in a league called the Orca League. And the game that I'm playing in that organization is Hearthstone. So I have two things from Hearthstone that I want to talk about. The first one is an interview with Ixar, and it was posted on a Chinese website, Yingdi, and it's been translated. and it's basically they were talking about that there is more than likely going to be another balance update before the next expansion, and some hints at possible changes. I have a list of all the potential changes here. Some of them I agree with. Some of them make me sad. Um, these questions that were sent to him, where they were sent to him right after the Twin Slice nerf, and I use those quotes very literally because I don't feel like that was a big enough nerf for Demon Hunter. He even goes on to say later on in this article that he even thinks that they could have nerfed Demon Hunter harder. They just didn't, and they don't. That's their whole approach now. They don't want to nerf a class into the dirt. They want to do small updates to try to balance it out where the class is still competitive, but it's not so dominating. But with Demon Hunter, it is still literally the most dominant class. Um, I mean, hell, last night on my stream, I played Demon Hunter and I climbed like 6 or 7 ranks in like a 30-40 minute period, which is, I got into some grindy games, so it kind of took a minute. Adam was streaming and he got to plat in like the, the amount of time it took me to play 7 games with Demon Hunter. So, I mean, it is still just as oppressive and still as destructive as it was before. But they're saying that the balance patch is going to be before next expansion, but it's mostly going to contain small tweaks and make sure that the next expansion is, and I quote, this is direct quote from him, more fun. Um, what I think they are saying is to like they've never done this before. They don't really. I don't feel like they think about their nerfs before an expansion or the cards that are coming out before they do this. But they're basically going to nerf some stuff because the stuff they've got coming out in the expansion is those cards will be um, too good with the new expansion. Yeah, man, I'm doing good. How about you? I'm just trying out this new Friday segment, the Voidcast, where I talk about games, tech, and everything geeky. Not bad. Good deal, man. Glad to hear it. Um, yeah, we're talking about right now. I'm talking about the incoming balance patch for Hearthstone. Had a couple. I talked about a couple of other topics. Talked about being able to put a M.2 in your iPod Classic, which I think is super cool. I actually just want to pick up an iPod Classic just to try out that little mod. Um, then I talked about the new Shadow Warriors game that's coming out at some point. There's a video, it's a teaser trailer. It's nothing else. Talked about the really, really stupid Minecraft Creeper Crunch that they're making. And I talked about Evo being canceled. Um, they're canceling Evo this year completely because of some stuff that happened with the president and CEO of Evo. Now I'm just talking about, like I said, talking about the balance patch for Hearthstone. So they said instead of pushing one or two big balance patches, what they want to do is make smaller changes that don't kill a deck, but balance it out for you know overall to make it where that is still a competitive deck but not oppressive. Iskar also said that they could have nerfed Demon Hunter more, and I agree. I don't feel like anything that they've done to Demon Hunter has slowed it down one bit. Um, he also said that if Highlander decks are going to continue to be top tier going into the next expansion, they're going to consider making some power level changes to more than likely Zephyrus the Great and Dragon Queen Alexstrasza. And here's my problem with the whole article. Those two cards, those are literally not literally. There are some others. There's Dino Tame. There's the whole League of Explorers. They got their whole like Highlander themed thing. But like other than those cards that are class specific, mind you, you've got one for Hunter, you got one for Druid, you got one for Mage, and you got one for Druid. Minus those 4 cards, there are no Highlander specific cards in Hearthstone other than Zephyrus and Dragon Queen. Paladin, not let's see, Paladin, Druid, Mage, and Hunter. Yes. So other than DQA and Zephyrus, there are no Highlander cards. Um, More than likely, it's like, what are you going to do to Zephyrus? He's a 2 mana 3/2, and if you got no duplicates, draw the perfect card. He's not. It says perfect, but it doesn't always mean perfect. You're not always guaranteed to get the perfect card. There is a little bit of RNG to it. Sometimes you think you should get one card, but you get something else that is still good for the situation, but not what you were really hoping for. But I mean, they could make him 4 mana. They could up the cost. They could make him a one, like a 2/2 or a 1/2. They could do something with his attack and health and change his mana cost. But other than that, if they change his ability, he's not gonna be playable. Um, unless they word it somehow where it's a class specific card or something along those lines, which would still also not be that good. I got something in my eyes. So, depending on how they nerf Zephyrus, is either going to make or break the card. The same thing goes with Dragon Queen Alexstrasza. I mean, 9 mana 8/8 that gives you 2 dragons that cost 0. Um, I mean, it's a 9 mana card. Like, they could make it 10 mana and drop the stats, but I just like I said, this is the biggest problem that I have with the potential nerfs, or not really nerfs, but the potential balancing that they're going to be doing to arguably one of my favorite archetypes in the game. Um, they also said that tools that create other cards, like created by cards, so anything that generates a card, um, are important to make the games more varied, but the amount of them we see right now is as high as it's ever going to be. He expects upcoming expansions to have less generated resources, especially in classes that don't specialize in that. So, priest and mage. So, basically, they're going to be cutting down or completely shutting down discover cards or cards that add a random mage spell to your hand, add a random priest spell to your hand, add a card from your opponent's class. They're going to start um, trimming the fat, so to speak, on cards like that. Um, that is not as big of a deal as I think the Zephyrus and DQA nerfs are going to be, but that is kind of a big deal because I do like that discover mechanic and those random generated mechanics. I feel like that makes for fun decks. Think about like Rogue, like Burgle Rogue, Burgle Priest, like those decks thrive on those discover and generate mechanics. Um, and I don't say, and that is one archetype in an entire class, so you can't really cater to one archetype. But at the same time, if you start cutting those cards out, what are you left with? You know, like because their track record, their history with like class specific cards is not good. Look at the newest legendaries for Paladin. What did Paladin really get class wise that was good? They got Lady Liadrin. She's okay. They got McGurgle. If you don't play Murlocs, he's not good. Like there's really no super good class cards, and that's why the Discover cards make the deck so much more fun. Is because they're really bad with flavor, and they're really bad with making cards fit a class. Like they're really really bad about that. So I really don't know how I feel about them cutting back on the tools that create other cards. Um, they mentioned Puzzle Box of Yogg-Saron. They said by itself it's an appropriate power level, so they're saying that Puzzle Box is, it's the Soul Pureblood. How's it going, man? You doing all right tonight? So cards like Puzzle Box of Yogg-Saron, they're saying that it's an appropriate power level, but the problem is when it comes out on turn 6 with Dragoncaster. And they said they're going to address that in an upcoming patch. So that either means that Dragoncaster is going to get a complete overhaul, be the same mana cost, same attack defense, but be a different ability, or they're going to up the cost of Dragoncaster but keep it with the same ability. Either way, I don't know how I feel about that either because It's there is a slight bias there. I won't even lie about it. There is a slight bias in the fact that I like going turn 6 Dragoncaster 8 mana spell. I like going Dragoncaster 10 mana spell on turn 6. I think that's just I think it's fun to do that, to go turn 6 puzzle box, deal with it. But apparently something coming out in the new meta is going to make that too strong. Um, no, I'm not. I had a long day at work. It's been a really long day. Um, but I don't know how I feel about them nerfing Dragoncaster. Um, and then they're also talking about discarding cards to 0 mana. So they mainly are talking about Galakron the Nightmare, the rogue legendary that draws you 4 cards and they cost 0. Um, they're saying that they're probably going to nerf that to cost 1 instead of costing 0. It My thing is, if you nerf that and you make it to where they cost 1, they're making it to where they don't want you to be able to play all those cards on the turn that you Galakron. But you can still, if it's on turn 10, you're still going to get to play 3 of the 4 cards that you draw, and that's still potentially going to be the same deal. It's the same effect either way. The article goes on and talks about some other stuff, but that's the main highlights of the article that I kind of wanted to talk about. And the last piece of news that I got that I want to talk about is Hearthstone adding a graveyard mechanic, and would that finally fix Priest? So the article's saying that basically having a class that's fully reactive wouldn't be a problem as long as the opponent who's given the tools to counteract it. So like in Hearthstone, it's like you take your turn, your opponent takes their turn, then it's your turn again. There's no interaction between turns. So if you do something on your turn, the opponent can't interact that or counteract that till their next turn. Card games like Legends of Runeterra and Magic the Gathering give you end of turn abilities that you can do at the end of your opponent's turn or at the end of your turn, and stuff you can do in between turns. So if they summon a dude that you don't like in Magic, you can just be like, okay, I'll kill it or I'll counter it. In Hearthstone, it's literally like you play your big dude, their next turn they kill it, that's their turn. They can't really do anything else because of mana constraints. It literally caps off at 10, whereas in Magic, stupid fly, whereas in Magic, you can EOT do something. Like, it's just, it would be a complicated thing to do, but it's not completely undoable. Look at MTG Arena. It's basically Magic the Gathering, but in, like, on PC. It would involve basically a complete overhaul of the game. It would involve a lot of keywords. But basically in Hearthstone, when something dies or something is milled, or you play a card, it just, boom, it's gone. It just disappears. There's no active place on screen where those cards are stored. It is literally just stored off screen somewhere in the data. So when you play cards that resurrect, you get a random assortment of things that has died, but you can't get spells. So what I think about the graveyard, it could definitely work, but it would take a huge update, and it would take a lot of time. And Priest, the article's talking about Priest, and it's talking about how mass resurrection isn't so much a problem as it is an annoyance, because I play 3 7-mana 10/10s. You take your entire turn, you trade all your minions, and you play all your spells to kill them. It's my turn, it's turn 9. I mass res, get those same 3 7-mana 10/10s. What are you going to do? You played your big board wipe, or you played all your spells to kill those things, and now you have nothing in your hand that can deal with those 10/10s. So the article is suggesting that it should either be only the first minion that entered it that turn, or you know, in a game or in a turn, rather than any minion. Um, because it would make it to where they could trade into a minion that is less valuable, then kill your big minion, so that when you mass res, you're going to get the crappy minion, and it's not going to be as good. Now, with stuff that has taunt and stuff like that, that you have to go at that first, and they kill that, it's pretty much going to have the same effect. They're going to res that big minion, and you're going to have to deal with it again. They also said that um, only allowing you to resurrect minions up to a certain cost. So no more playing a card that brings back 3 10 cost minions at once. Um, eh, I mean, I don't know how I really feel about that, because it is what it is. That's just the way that the game works right now. Um, they're also talking about a neutral minion that they could add that allows you to discover things from your opponent's graveyard and destroy them. So if there was a graveyard, they could implement spells and minions that interact with graveyards, both in a good way and a negative way. So going back to Magic, one of the first graveyard hate effects that comes to mind is Tormod's Crypt. 0 mana artifact, sack it, destroy all opponents' graveyards. They could definitely do something like that. Make it a spell, make it a minion, make it a new. That way, everyone has access to it. So not one class is going to benefit from this, graveyard destruction, because then it comes down to, oh, priest gets everybody gets a graveyard. Priest makes the most out of it, but this one class gets a spell, or this one class gets a minion. Now that is the dominant class, and priest cannot play in the meta because that one class keeps it from being a good tier deck. They would have to make it neutral so that everyone could have access to it, and not one class is just, OP oppressive on priest. Um, they're also talking about some keywords that they could add. Um, Stuff like thinking of what is it? Bloodghast. When you play a land, if it's in your graveyard, it comes back into play. They were thinking there could be a keyword called lingering. That is, if it's in your graveyard and you resurrect something, that card would also come into play. That could be really cool, because it could have a battle cry, do this when it's summoned, and then another ability, do this when it's revived, or do this when it's brought from your graveyard. They could do a lot of cool mechanics like that, especially if you had, you can run two of them, so you could, I res this one dude, I get these two dudes. It could make big tempo swings. It could be, there's a lot that they could do with that. They were also talking about um, making a keyword that completely destroys a minion, and practically would at the point that they have now, everything goes to exile basically. It's outside the game. But if they added a graveyard, they could add a keyword that would basically remove X card from the game from their graveyard. Um, I feel like it would make the game overly complicated if they added the ability to hit spells out of your graveyard. So if they had a spell that's like, play this spell from your graveyard, then exile the spell, I feel like that would make it overly complicated. But for minions, they could literally say, search your opponent's graveyard for a minion, exile it, boom, done. Um, that could also be fun. Or they could make a like a destroy ability, like destroy this monster. It's removed from the game instead of going to the graveyard. Then they were also talking about another keyword that in Hearthstone, if you buff a minion and that minion dies and you resurrect it, it does not keep the buffs that it had before it died. Um, I agree with that, because that would be ridiculous if you've got a board full of you played a bunch of 5/5s and you buffed the crap out of them and made them 10/10s, and you resed them and they're all 10/10s. That'd be kind of strong. But they were talking about a keyword called phantasmal, and this is all just like, if you did it, if you did the graveyard thing, you could do this. Um, but they were basically talking about a way that you could res your minions that would keep the buffs after they died, but only minions with the keyword phantasmal. So you could in essence play a, 5 phantasmal dudes, buff them all, and when they die and you res them, only those minions would keep the buff. So it'd make the res pool a little bit more kind of fair. Um, and that's all I got, honestly. The graveyard thing is an interesting mechanic. I think that it could be done really well if they would just think about it. I think the biggest problem for Blizzard is that they won't implement a graveyard mechanic because I think they're trying to differentiate themselves from Magic the Gathering so much and so heavily that they're not going to add something like that. Not to mention, Blizzard has a really bad history with giving fans things that they actually want in games. So that I don't think that the graveyard thing will ever happen. Um, but if it did, I think it could add a lot more playability to the game, and a lot more people that are coming from Magic the Gathering would have more fun with it. Um, but yeah, that's all I've got, guys. I'm actually going to end the stream. I've got to I got some stuff I got to do real quick. I'm gonna take probably about an hour break, and I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna be streaming some Hearthstone, maybe some Paladin stuff like that. I appreciate y'all sticking around. Have a wonderful night, and I'll see you later.